Hi all. In this video, we'll look at the second problem from LeetCode's Biweekly Contest 94. The problem name is Reward Top K Students. So the problem statement is as follows. We are given two string arrays. One is the positive feedback and the other one is negative feedback, each containing the words denoting positive and the negative feedback respectively. Also, we are given an important note that no word is both positive as well as negative. So this is a key point to be noted, which will make our life simpler while implementing the code. Initially, we are given every student has 0 points. Each positive word in the feedback adds the points of the student by 3, whereas each negative word decreases the points of the student by 1. Also, we are given n feedback reports, which are represented by 0 indexed string array report and 0 indexed integer array student id, where the student id of I represents the id of the student who has received the report I, and the id of each student is unique. Basically, we are given given that there are n students and each student is received one report which contains some positive and the negative words, and the student id I has got the report I, feedback report I. Also, we are given an integer k and we have to return the top k students after ranking them in the non-increasing order by their points. Also, in case if there are more than one student who has the same points, then the one with lower id ranks higher. That is, we have to return if two students, let's say student id 1 and student id 2 have same points, then we have to return then the student with student id 1 is ranked higher. So now let us look at some of the examples provided by the LeetCode. So as said, we are given two arrays. One is the positive feedback array, which consists of the keywords smart, brilliant and studious, and the other one is the negative feedback array, which consists of a single word not. And there are two students, one with student id 1 and the other one with student id 2, and there are two reports and each report corresponding to one student. The first student received the report, the student is studious, and the second student received the report, the student is smart. And we have to return the top k students, where k over here is given as 2. So what basically we will do is the basic idea is that for every student we have received a report. What we will do is we will iterate through each word which is present in that report, and if that word is present in the positive feedback array, then we will increase the score of that student by 3. Otherwise, if it is present in the negative feedback array, then we will decrement the score by 1. And at last, since we are asked to return the top k students by their rank, that is score, so what we will do is we'll store the student IDs as per their final scores after iterating over each word of the report. So that we have to create a maxip for that. So so this checking of each and every student, each and every word in the student in the report array, it will be time consuming if we check in the array manner. That is, if we have to check each and every word from the array, then it will consume a lot of time. So what we'll do is we'll convert the positive and the negative feedback array into sets, so that our checking for each and every word of the report of a particular student can be done in order of one time. This will reduce our overall time complexity. So we'll look at the code how it can be done. So over here, as we can see, so let us look at what is the solution for this example. So since this report for student with student id 1 is the student is studious, and since we can see the studious is present in the positive feedback, so the final score is 3 and other words are not present, so that we don't take any action for those words. And for the second student, there is only smart, that word is present in the positive feedback array, and so the final score for student with student id 2 is also 3. So both the students have received one positive feedback keyword and their scores are 3, but since we are asked if their scores are equal, then we have to rank them on the basis of student id. So we will return first 1 and then with student with student id 2. So let us look at the other example. Over here we are given again two students, and the report, they have changed the report for each student. So the first student is having one negative keyword, which is not, and one positive keyword, which is studious. So the overall score becomes 1. The studious adds up to 3, and not decreases this overall score by 1. The final score of the student with student ID 1 is 2, and a student with student ID 2 has only one positive keyword, so the final score is 3. So our heap will consist of 2 at the top and as the root, and 1 as the child of the root. So we'll return 2 and 1, since we have to return the top 2 elements, top 2 students, that is student IDs. So you can see at the explanation, the constraints for this problem are there are 10 raised to 4, maximum there can be 10 raised to 4 words in both positive and as well as negative feedback, and all the letters, all the words are basically lowercase English letters. So you can look at the constraints, and the number of students that are present is 10 raised to 4, and k is also between 1 to 10 raised to 4, which is obvious. Let's look at the Java code. So in this video we'll look at the Java code. So as discussed in the approach, what we'll do is we'll first convert the positive feedback and the negative feedback string arrays into sets, so that we can do the checking in order of one time for while iterating over each word of the report of a particular student and checking if it is positive or negative. So we'll use hash set for this. So what we'll do is we'll iterate over each word in each string in the positive and negative feedback array, and we'll put in the respective sets. So once we have converted our positive and negative feedback array into sets, we will declare a priority queue. So we need a priority queue because we need to return the top k elements or top k students ranked by their student IDs. So the best data structure that we can use is a max heap, and that can be implemented with the help of priority queue data structure, which is inbuilt in Java. Priority queue data class. So over here, each element of this priority queue will be an integer array of size 2, where the index 0 will represent the student ID, and index 1 will represent the score of that student. And we will use a custom comparator function for comparing the elements when heapify is done or when any new element is added. Here we have used the lambda function. So it basically takes two elements, a and b, and if a of 1 is not equals to b of 1, that is since we mentioned that the index 1 represents the score, so if the scores of the elements are not equal, then we will return b of 1 minus a of 1. That is, if b is greater than a, then b will be ranked higher. That is, it will come at the root. Otherwise, a will be coming at the root. If the scores are equal, then we have to sort them as per we have to sort them in the increasing order of their student IDs. That is, if two students, let's say 1 and 2, have scores same, then we will represent them, then the root will be 1 and then 2, because student ID 1 has a lower rank than student ID 2, as that was mentioned in the question. So now as discussed, we will go through each and every report of the particular student, and over here we'll initialize the score of each student to be 0 initially. And what we'll do is we'll take the report of that student. Report I is the report of I is the report of student with student ID I. So we will get the words by using the split function, and then we will iterate over each word of that report. If that word is present in the positive set, then we will increase the score by 3, and if it is not, then if it is in the negative feedback set, then we will decrease the score by 1. So this checking, as we converted our arrays into sets, this checking can be done in order of one time. Then we'll add our element to the heap. That is, once we are done with iterating over all the words in that report, what we'll do is we'll add the element to the heap. So the first element, as I said, will be the student ID, and the second will be the score of that final score of that student. So the final heapify function, after doing it for each and every student, this is the final result list, which will be our return type. same as the return type, and which will consist of the student IDs. So while since we have to return the top k students, while k minus minus is greater than 0, will pop the element from the heap and take the 0th element, 0th indexed element, since since we had a 2D 1D integer array as the element of heap. So the 0th index represents the student ID. So we'll we'll fetch from the queue, that is our priority queue, and get the 0th element of that integer array, and add that to the final result, and then return the final result, which will consist of all the student IDs. Let's test our code on the example test cases that are provided, and we can see that the expected answer and our answer are matching. So let's submit the solution. So as we can see, the solution also got submitted, and it ran in less than 7. It ran faster than 75%, and runtime is 70 milliseconds. So coming to the time and the space complexity of the code. So the time complexity is basically n log n, since we are doing a heapify on n elements, where n is the number of students, and each heapify operation will take order of log n time. So the overall time for performing the heapify is order of n log n. Then since we are iterating over each and every student and performing iteration over each and every word of the report, so we will, and there are a report of i.length words, then so the overall time complexity for this nested loop will be n into report of i.length. So that will be the overall time complexity, and the space complexity for the solution would be, since we converted our positive and the negative feedback arrays into sets, so that is the extra space that is required, so which will be order of positive feedback dot length and order of negative feedback dot length. And since we use the priority queue for storing our student IDs, and at most there are n students, so extra order of n space is required for that, for storing those elements in the heap. So the overall space complexity is this. So that's all about this question. So if you like the solution and the approach discussed, please do consider liking the video, and do share it with your friends, and do subscribe to the channel.